All right, that's from R. Venkatraman, MD of IIFL, also joins us on the show with his perspective of the markets. Venkat, thanks so much for joining in. Ms. Yamada just spoke about the fact that while there could be a breakout in the not in the very immediate term, there could probably be a possibility of a range-bound market. Given RBI's actions today, do you believe that this range-bound market could be with a slightly more negative bias than what you had envisaged earlier?
See, actually what's happening currently in the markets is that we are going through a period of when the markets are so-called range-bound or consolidating, whichever way you look at it. And I agree with your comment that the markets have a negative bias. And the reason why we think the markets have a negative bias is simply because inflation is rising, and I don't think today's 25 basis points hike is the last which we'll see in the next 12 months. So there is a possibility of further rate hikes, and that we believe will definitely happen. On the other side, we have cost push inflation, and most of the companies are seeing some kind of compression happening on their margins. So you have a situation where there is your cost of money rising, you have a cost of commodity rising, your margins are under pressure. So in all likelihood, from this quarter onward, we might see some kind of earnings downgrades happening. So all in all, things do not look very optimistic, and I would say that markets have definitely some kind of negative bias.
Taking the flashes of ONGC then, and the deadline of July 5th for the FPO launch is unlikely to be met. Remember, as per July 5th timeline, ONGC was supposed to file its red herring prospectus for the follow-on public offer by 17th of June, which might then actually be delayed by another week. The roadshow will be delayed by another week. The divestment SECI, however, we had some information from the divestment SECI that said that the FPO will happen in July, but as of now, the deadline of 5th of July is something that is unlikely to be met. And pricing wise also, they are saying that it will have to be at a discount. They are waiting a nod for 3 independent directors for FPO filing as well. These are flashes coming in from the news wires. ONGC up about 0.3%. Mr. Venkat, hi, this is Devina here. In your own opinion, keeping in mind what's been happening overall, leaving aside what's the macro snapshot right now, pressure has been seen in rate sensitives, be it autos, be it real estate, be it the banking space as a whole. Do you expect some bit of a resurgence to come back after this heavy sell-off, or they will still be seen having some pressure?
See, there might be some technical bounce back happening because we have seen positions being built up on the short side on the back of the rate hike. So, but this pullback rally or a bounce, whichever way you look at it, would be temporary. Because as I said earlier, the rate hikes will continue in the next 12 months because whichever way you look at it, inflation does not seem to be coming under control. So, even there's a bounce back, I think they will continue to see some kind of downward bias.
Venkat, just stay on with us for a second. Tanvi here taking out the time. Venkat, come to you. Back home, it's really the oil and gas space which is drawing a lot of attention. I mean, we just saw Reliance break the 900 marker, and of course there is that impending decision to be taken on fuel prices. ONGC has been in focus. There was just news about them looking at selling a stake in their KG block. What's the sense with the kind of news flow that is governing the oil and gas space right now? How would you approach it?
See, actually, if you look at the entire oil and gas space which is happening in India, apart from Reliance, because Reliance has a petrochemical piece also, the basic problem is we are not seeing some kind of clarity from the government on fuel price hikes. We have had a period in which crude has run up significantly, and it is in 3 digits, and that has not been followed by commensurate petro product price hikes. So you have a situation where the cost of raw material is going up, and you don't see any potential of that getting passed down to the end consumer, especially on petrol and diesel. There has been continuous talks about price hike, but that has not happened. People were thinking that post-election that will happen, and so effectively till we see some kind of clarity on the price hikes, I think this entire sector will continue to be like this, simply because there is too much dependence on policy.
All right, Venkat, stay on.
Well, Venkat, come in on how business is shaping up. I mean, without asking you about specifically about IIFL, is the brokerage industry going through some tough times right now because of the fact that the market volumes have dipped so significantly?
See, without getting into specifics,
Sure.
I can only comment that the entire broking space or the so-called brokerage business of the financial services pack is facing headwinds. On one side, you have last 3 months we are seeing some kind of declining exchange volumes, and even within that declining volumes, the share of derivatives is rising month on month. Almost 2-3 years ago, derivatives used to account for roughly about 75% of the total turnover, and 25% was cash. Now, as we speak, it is about 92% of derivatives, and within that also share of options is rising. And derivatives, margins on derivatives are less, and this is on the revenue side. On the cost side, you know what's happening on employee costs. So this entire we are going through difficult times, and I think there will be some amount of consolidation, or whichever you look at it, and then hopefully, as and when the markets pick up, things should look better.
There's some bit of weakness in the entire brokerage space in terms of business and revenues that have started to come up. India Infoline is down about 4% at last count. We were talking about what's been happening overall in the media space. PVR also talks of a buyback in the open market at a premium. That stock is up closer to about 1% You've got Sun TV that has actually bounced back, and a good smart move of about 10.5% after yesterday's move as well. So that's pretty much taking a base and then moving up from there on. And like Neeraj pointed out, in the broadcast space, you've got Reliance Broadcast that has done well in today's session. So it's the media and entertainment pack as a whole that has managed to hold up and stage good performance in today's session. Venkat, are you focusing on media as a pack, and what is the call there?
See, unfortunately, I can't comment on that because I have no research coverage of top of the mind.
Sure.
But generally,
yeah, sure. So any other sector that you're particularly bearish on right now, and keeping in mind the current market scenario?
See, as we have been speaking earlier in this show also, the interest rate sensitive sectors seem to be facing headwinds, because clearly we will see another 50-75 basis points increase in interest in the next 9 to 12 months. At least that's what people feel, especially that's the bullets the RBI governor has to tame inflation. On the sectors which are doing well, I think the India consumption story is...
All right, Venkat, we'll try and touch base with you once again, re-establish connection there.
Let's take a very quick break, come back with market closing. It's not looking in the best of moods. Maybe a close below 5,400.